Hey y'all, I'm back with another Cephalid Breakfast Legacy video, and today I'm going to be running this list. It's a pretty special list. It is Xeno's top 8 list from the Legacy Challenge, and it's got some things that I really like that I've been trying, and some things that are definitely different, and I want to go over those things. So the big thing is the 4 Tamiyo in the main deck. I really feel like this is the way to go for now. It provides a lot of power to the deck. It makes it very challenging to have enough removal, and eventually it can snowball into good card advantage. Uh, you can get the Planeswalker going, or it just eats the removal spell that your Cephalid or Nadu won't later. So I've been a big fan of the 4 Tamiyo. It feels like it's provided extra power to the deck. And this list is 61 cards. It's the same 60 main deck that I've been playing recently, plus 1 card, and that's an additional land. I've been going with 2 basic islands. I know Larson's been doing the same, and I've just been copying that. But that has been at the expense of a Savannah. So Xeno went ahead and added the Savannah back, and it's true. It's really nice, especially if you're going for a basic island, be able to fetch that Savannah. As a consequence, the sideboard Cavern of Souls is gone. There's just the 1 Cavern of Souls in the main deck. And the sideboard has a few choices I want to go over. There is a Teferi. I always find Teferi to be a bit clunky, but we're going to see how it goes. And then Null Rod, super cool. Obviously, there's a little bit of a non-bow with our Shukos and our Needles, and then an extra Consign. And I was speaking with Xeno about this, and basically, the issue is the Mystic Forge deck, which is a little powered up by Tezzeret, the new Planeswalker that's been printed in Edge of Eternities, is proving to be a bit much. But, I've always found that matchup to be fairly easy, fairly favored for breakfast, and I did want to talk about that briefly because maybe that would impact some sideboard choices. I'm certainly not on Null Rod, and it would be nice to have that extra spot. So my playing against Mystic Forge, I had this deck pulled up by Splev. Splev's a really good player. I encounter them a lot on MTGO, and we duke it out a lot. My plan is basically, if it costs 4 mana or more, you counter it. And if it costs less than 4 mana, you let it live. Tezzeret might be throwing a wrench into that plan. I've only played against this deck once, I think, so far. And Tezzeret can be really good. We'll see if we encounter that in the league. I think the biggest trap is Glaring Fleshraker. This card obviously can spiral out of hand, and if you have 2 on board, it's super powerful. But I think you have to let it go, because Fleshraker is in play, but let's say you don't have something like Mystic Forge or One Ring, then it really doesn't do very much. And so you just have to keep those card advantage engines off the board, or counter a card or something like that. And as long as you do that, it tends to be pretty favorable. So for instance, when I'm sideboarding for that deck, I take out my Swords to Plowshares. I typically trim a Shuko. Tamiyo not so good in that matchup because the clues might be dead to Karn and it's just slow. Tamiyo is really more for the fair matchups, for blue mirrors, stuff like that. But perhaps by boarding optimally, by knowing what to go for with your counter spells in that matchup, it might be possible to improve some percentage points without needing these extra cards. I really don't know. We're going to see if we encounter that today in this league, and let's see how it goes. I'm on the draw in round 1. This is a nice hand. I hope I'm not dead turn 1 before I get to daze something or fire off this brainstorm, but I definitely like the hand. My opponent is starting the game on a Multi 5, and every time I encounter that, I always worry about oops all spells, but I see a land here, so this looks maybe like a show and tell, maybe getting turn 1. No, casting that for white, so Archon of Emeria, okay. So this is going to be some sort of initiative strategy, and that is pretty good against the hand that I have here. but certainly I'm thankful to get some time. If they don't have a follow-up land, this could be, well, if that's a chalice, that's really good. Unfortunately, I couldn't fetch anything here. So yeah, this is actually gonna be a rough one. I can get a Shuko off of an Urza Saga, and that's gonna have to be the plan. Illusionist was a really good top deck there. Hopefully I get to cast it before, say, another chalice hits. I don't hate where I am right now. Having the days now is pretty nice. I probably still have to fetch a basic island, but certainly if their plan was just to cast an Archon and a chalice and hope that gets there, it probably won't. I will have to remember that the turn that I cast Illusionist, I can't combo off, so it might be correct to go ahead and cast Illusionist next turn. Ooh, drawing Narcomoeba, not good. So I will go ahead and cast Illusionist. We could get a preemptive scoop here if they see that I am going to have a Shuko next turn. But sadly, drawing that Narcomoeba means I might have to pass the turn. It's possible the turn before I cast Illusionist, it could have been good to end step Brainstorm to help ensure that my draw was better, but I didn't really like that play. Chalice for 0, that's fine. That does nothing. Swords. So, I think what I'm going to do, it's going to prevent me from being able to win this turn, and of course they'll know that, but I'm going to Brainstorm in response to this Saga. It's a really nice shuffle effect. It's going to help me get rid of some dead cards, and it's going to put the Narcomoeba back in my deck. Oops. So let me cast the Brainstorm. Oh, Chalice on 1. Never mind. That's okay. That's pretty bad, actually. That was a huge punt because now I have to cast the Narcomoeba next turn. Oops. Well, I'll get in for 1. All right, so this turn I cast the Narcomoeba, which is a little sad. But now I am ready to go off next turn. And I'm going to equip this. Swing for 2. And hopefully nothing bad happens this turn. My opponent gets 2 more damage across. No play. So now if they have nothing, I'll win. Float. There's nothing to find. And I'll start milling. Well, I definitely punted because this could have gone off a turn earlier. And if they did happen to draw something, I don't know what they would draw. Oh, a Solitude. I hope that wasn't their draw step there. That'd be kind of embarrassing. Yeah, that's good. And they target my Illusionist. At least I gain a couple life. Oracle is now in the bin. But now this Chalice looks really good. If I had that Shuko still in the deck, I could block the Archon. But yeah, I'm not loving this. Now I need to find another land and some action. Chalice on 1, very strong. I'm going to keep attacking, getting their life total down. And I have to go to clean up. I'll just discard a Nomads. The other thing, if I draw 2 lands in a row, I can Nadu eventually. My opponent might have a play here. Yeah, I'm just going to scoop here. I guess I could have dazed that. But, I don't know, it's just not looking good. Well, there were the lands. Alright, I definitely played that really terribly. I got a little tilted by my misplay and playing into that Chalice, so that was an embarrassing first game of this league. I definitely want to try to keep Chalice off the board, so I'm not bad at bringing in Force of Negation. Null Rod is probably a little weak. Consign could potentially keep them off of an initiative, or it could hit one of their mana sources like a Chrome Mox. Removal also seems good. So there's 8 cards that are maybes. As far as the cuts, I think this is not really a Tamiyo matchup. I want to keep all the lands because, well, yeah, I'll keep all the lands. Against Chalice decks, it's nice to trim Ponder. So I think that's going to be it right there. Yeah, I'll keep this. My opponent has a Leyline. Okay. Saga, I'll take that. Well, I'm glad I don't have the Tamiyo in the face of Caracas. I think this turn I will cast a Nomads. And I'll play the island. This allows me to emergency brainstorm if there's something I must counter. I don't have to counter a Chalice, though. Swords is fine. I have another one. This Leyline is pretty annoying, though. Archon. That's fine. Another Illusionist, not too good. I'll brainstorm. Ooh, Oracle, okay. So, this means that eventually I can win without worrying about the graveyard. So I like that top deck Oracle. I am brainstorm locked, sort of, but I like all these cards. The Hedge Maze has to enter tapped anyway, so it's not really punished by Archon. I think what I'm going to do is go Saga on bottom, followed by Illusionist, Hedge Maze, clear Illusionist. I wish I could cast Nomads this turn, but it's okay. I can ending the Archon next turn if that makes sense. Dungeoneer, okay, they have the initiative. And I'll be drawing Urza's Saga here. Okay, so I could ending this, and that clears the way for next turn. If I drew a land, I could just win next turn. I could also play Illusionist, which doesn't really look very threatening. They might want to counter, or they might want to kill it just to keep me off of initiative. I like saving the ending. And I will play Cephalid Illusionist. Hopefully this just won't be very threatening looking to them, and they'll let it live, not worry about it. They are going to forge, so they're trying to get me dead as soon as possible. I get hit for 8. And Witch Enchanter, okay, that's fine. Now, I'm losing a lot of my life here. Force of Will. Man, this Archon really blows. I think I'm just dead here because they get to trap. Like if I ending this, I get the initiative, but I don't have the ability to win. If I cast Nomads, I could have blockers for next turn. And if they do the incorrect protection creature, maybe I get there. Like I can block, and then once I've blocked, I can mill myself before damage. Cast Oracle next turn. I think I'm dead here if they play correctly. But I guess I'll give it a try. And they just kill my... Yeah, so I'm just dead. Good game. Rough start. I'm on the draw, round 2. This hand's pretty nice. Force of Will and a blue card. Tamiyo. I'll keep. My opponent is mulling once again. That happened the last round. And couldn't capitalize on the mull to 5 last round, but maybe this time I can. Force of Will definitely feels like the card you want when your opponent's not a deep mull. Mull to 5 and then Flooded Strand go. Could be Reanimator. I would hate to play into a Daze if they have like an Entomb. So I'll have a little bit of patience here and I'll just play the island. On my end step, my opponent surveils, so I would say Reanimator seems pretty likely. They bin another land, so I guess they feel good on lands. Brainstorm, sure. Another land, I feel like Reanimator is pretty likely here. So I like playing around Daze when their hand is as small as it is. So I'll play Flooded Strand. I am going to finally play out this Tamiyo. And if they entomb, I have Force Pitch Narcomoeba, another Brainstorm. And they already knew their top card, so it's not a very efficient Brainstorm. Basic Swamp. Yep, it's Reanimator. I'm going to counter this. I am starting to think that Entomb can resolve more than I allow it to, but since this also represents the shuffle on a Brainstorm, it's a particularly valuable Entomb. See, now they have to use this Ponder to shuffle. They're down to 3 cards. Still a pretty threatening position, but it's getting better. I think I'm going to preserve the fetch land and go to my turn. Okay, so I can flip Tamiyo if I choose. I think I will start by casting the Ponder before I do anything else. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take the Brainstorm. And then, rather than crack the clue, I'm just going to get a Trop and cast Brainstorm. Now I'm continuing to play around days for whatever they can have next turn. Bunch of Tamiyos, that's not great. I like the Ponder. I wonder if I should cast the Ponder. I think I'll put it back Surveil and Tamiyo. Plus this, now I get Force of Will back next turn, which feels pretty good. And since I don't have anything going on here as far as interaction, I think I need to Ponder. Yeah, I'll keep this. Memory's Journey will be great if they don't have Entomb Reanimate this turn. Fetching the 4th land, this could be like a Kaito or, yeah, I guess just Undercity Sewers. That makes sense. They're either going to cantrip or maybe they have a Reanimate. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, that's good. Well, I have the swords. And Memory's Journey was a nice card to discard because that'll keep the Atraxa off the table for the time being. Let's try to swords this. Play out a Tamiyo. Crack clue, my leisure. I don't know if I'm really ahead here. Having Memory's Journey feels good. If they wasteland Tropical Island, I have another green source. I think I want to go for the maximum. They are now reanimating my Tamiyo. That's fine. I have Memory's Journey, so I just want to keep them off of whatever the most horrible thing possible is. And I'm going to fetch a Surveil land rather than cracking the clue. And the reason for that is I want to see the most cards, and now I can make the Planeswalker next turn. Saga feels pretty good. I'll play the Saga. Crack the clue. Another land, not great. But I'll go to combat. Petty Theft. Sure. Well, I'll replay Tamiyo. That was a punt. I was supposed to do Tundra, because now, in theory, I think they're too low on cards to be able to do this, but they could, like, Wasteland Tropical Island, Entomb Reanimate after that. And they will have 3 cards if this is Entomb Reanimate, and they cracked a clue and got land. They would have enough for that. Obviously, they would have had to have the Wasteland first main for that. And I guess it's correct to block here. I guess I didn't. Hopefully they don't have Kaito. Ponder. So they can, well, they can't crack the clue this turn. I guess one nice thing about them reanimating my Tamiyo is if they, like now they are unable to cast Brainstorm. That card is literally to my advantage. And they are cracking the clue. So this is going to get exiled, returned to the battlefield under its owner's control, and become mine. That resolves. So maybe they weren't realizing that. Cool, and they just scooped to that. Next turn I was drawing a Force, so that's pretty good. Definitely still not amazing position, but the Memory's Journey I think was really nice. And I was a little tilted by them Undercity Sewers surveilling Archon off the blind in a pretty stable situation for me, but wasn't enough. So This will be a nice chance to experiment on camera with what I've been trying to do recently in this matchup, which I actually have been thinking that Nadu's could be a cut. I think what I'm going to do is bring in swords to fairy. I kind of like that. Ghost Vacuum and the Macabres. Let's start there. I do miss Flusterstorm in this match. Flusterstorm really good against an Entomb. It's sort of an uncounterable answer to that if they can't pay for it. I'm going to take out 3 Nadu. I'm going to leave 1 in the deck because it would be nice to draw 2. But if they can Thoughtseize my Nadu turn 1, that turns on their Reanimates and makes their cards all better. So I think my goal here is to have a quick combo backed by Force of Will and basically be able to answer their quick plan with my sideboard. If I can stick it to fairy, that'd be really good. I'm going to cut these cards, and I'm going to actually not bring in the 4th swords. Hopefully we win the game with this plan before a Murktide hits, or we can race the Murktide, but I feel like Nadu is just not only turning on their Reanimates and making their Thoughtseize Reanimate plan better, but it makes our mana situation a lot worse. If we can play a little lighter on mana while reducing the strength of their cards a little bit, I think it's a better plan. Obviously, this is a more fragile game plan, but it's more explosive as well. So let's see. Certainly, you could also say that having the Illusionist combo in makes us even more vulnerable to Thoughtseize. But, you know, I just like the mana efficiency of it. Obviously, this is a great hand. We have Fairy Macabre, Force of Will blue card, maybe resolve this to Fairy at some point, and Ponder can help dig. So let's see. This sideboard plan obviously concedes a little bit of the fair plan to them. So we'll just have to see what happens. They were on a Mola 5 last time and still got an Archon into play. And basically, I think scooped because they let me have a Tamiyo. Okay, so they kept their 7. They liked what they saw off the Ponder. The opponent has a great start here. Third land is awesome. Now with fewer Nadus in the deck, fetching like Island and Plains doesn't feel so bad to get this to fairy out. I'll also cast Ponder. That's really good. Oracle on bottom, followed by Brainstorm to play around Thoughtseize. I don't think they would Thoughtseize the Brainstorm, but if they were on like a Murktide plan, they could. Okay, this could surveil a monster. They do know their top card. Or, well, that's not too scary to have in the bin. And another Ponder. So they don't have the fastest plan. Next turn, I'll likely cast that Brainstorm and then play a fetch land. And because I'm sort of rolled up here as far as, well, no, I'm not going to play around. I will cast this now. If they daze this, there's a better chance I get to stick to Fairy next turn. The worst possible punish would be like they get to pick up Undercity Sewers, and then that's what surveils the card they kept off Ponder into the bin or something like that. They must have a daze, because they thought quite hard about letting me have that or not. Alright, I'm sort of flooded with this hand now, but I'm going to put back Thassa's Oracle and Meticulous Archive. I'm going to play Flooded Strand, which can get my other basic island if I so choose. I could also get Meticulous Archive. Thoughtseize, bummer. Well, if they want to Entomb Reanimate, they have a good bit of stuff to work their way through here. They take the Teferi. Interesting. And a Wasteland. And Tamiyo. I'm going to force the Tamiyo. I don't have a lot going on my end. And the way that they could punish that the most is with a Murktide, but they're forcing back. This feels okay. In the face of this Wasteland and the fact that they know I have Saga, I'm going to be less conservative in my fetching, and I'm going to get a Meticulous Archive. I do not want another Tundra. Illusionist. I'll plan to Surveil again. Illusionist was nice, but obviously they're going to save this Wasteland for Saga. And getting this Tamiyo plan online is pretty good for them, unfortunately. That's what makes this deck so threatening. Dothy, ugh, that's super good. This is where having the Nadus would feel good. Hedge Maze, maybe they want to take me off green. Another Saga, sure, that's fine. Well, my opponent is being disciplined and saving this Wasteland. Maybe not. There's a pause in my upkeep. And now, well, they're letting me have this Urza Saga for now, at least. They definitely could have Wastelanded it in response to me getting the trigger. And there would have been good reason to do that, as this would allow me to, for instance, Nadu around a days. Obviously, I don't have Nadu, but I think that was a mistake if they plan to Wasteland it this turn anyway. Okay, they're hitting Hedge Maze. Well, I only have one Nadu in my deck. And another Dothy, okay. Nomads. I'm going to play the other Saga. I think the only way I can really beat this is to flood the board with constructs, and I'm going to play out Nomads right now. Another Illusionist, not very good. So I'm going to float. I'm going to get Shuko. Past Cephalid Illusionist. They force. Fine. Play my land. Swing. I think I will make another construct here. This puts them to 10. And this means actually, depending on how they play this turn, I could have lethal next turn. I certainly will have the power on board if they swing out. Okay, they leave back Tamiyo. It's pretty good. So I go to 1. I'm dead to an Orcish Bowmasters. I can't fetch. Swords off the top? Wow, okay. I wish I could do that around a days. Can I? I guess what I could do is swords now. And then when I get a construct, or when I get something, if I get a Shuko, these would be 5/4s. Okay. Doesn't really matter what I do now. I'm dead to basically anything, any sort of removal. But if they have no removal, then they're dead. Just get Shuko. Equip. Doesn't really matter because both these constructs have to hit, so it's not like if I equip it to Nomads, it'd be better. Please have nothing. Push. Okay. I lose. Alright, so they brought in a lot of Dothys. I think I want to just run it back, though. I feel like I can't go down on Reanimates or on Graveyard Hate. It's such a tough matchup. I'm going to give this a try. Yeah, this is a good hand. This is where they finally have Entomb Reanimate, and I just die to that, but definitely want to start off with this Tamiyo. If this game plays out like last game, I think this hand would be better suited for what they push. Yeah, that's good. Fetch Plains. I'm going to go Shuko and then Nomads. The reason why I like to sequence it this way is that Nomads dies to a lot of things, so if they daze that, no big deal. It's harder to answer. Next turn, if I draw an untapped plan, I'm definitely going to go for it. Ponder, sure. They didn't shuffle. Doesn't make me feel good. Let's see. I'm going to go to combat. I'm going to play Misty Rainforest. I'm going to cast Cephalid Illusionist. I'm going to stick with the plan. Fetch. Emergency Brainstorm. I like that. Illusionist resolves. Get Trop. So I do have Memories Journey. So I can beat like one counter spell. So they have to have in those 3 cards 2 pieces of Graveyard Hate that cost a total of 0 mana. And I think these decks are on like Cling to Dust, at least some of them. Or 2 counter spells. So I'm going to mill my entire library, cast Dread Return, target Thassa's Oracle, go like that. All right, got there. Let's go. Well, that was a good showing for keeping this game plan in. I do feel like you have to just win quickly against Reanimator. Like, don't give them too much time. And, you know, with every deck, you have to find the fights that you're willing to fight and the fights that you're not willing to fight. And I think that respecting their fair plan might just be the fight not to fight so much, I'm thinking. And I want them to have to fight over my unfair plan because that just takes a little bit more of their attention and resources. Whereas so many of their cards answer our unfair plan, you know, between the removal, graveyard hate is good, but also like Wasteland Days, all that stuff, it just gets in the way of casting Nadu. I don't know. I am struggling to say that that's the definitive plan against Dimir Reanimator, but I've won my matches so far with this plan, so I think it's promising to work out a sideboard plan, something like this. Tamiyo there ate that fatal push, you know? Obviously, with both Shuko and Nomads, fatal push on Nomads was not really a line that they had. It's possible I could have sequenced it differently, but it all worked out. GG's. I'm on the draw in round 3, and my opponent typically plays like fair blue decks that don't really mess with the mana too much. I don't love this hand with the mana situation, but between a draw step and a surveil, and possibly another draw step, I feel pretty good about finding another land if I need to. So I'm going to keep. And provided that the mana does come, this hand is incredible, obviously. Swords, I don't like that. Let's see if we can find another land right now. Dread Return. Well, I don't want that. At least I don't have to worry about drawing that later. So now I have to dodge Wasteland, but feel okay about this keep nevertheless. My opponent did not surveil. Maybe they have a brainstorm this turn. Well, they do have a brainstorm, but I was thinking based on how they played that they would play another land and then use the fetch land to shuffle brainstorm. But let's see what happens here. Hopefully they don't wasteland me. Okay, cool. I still want another land. I would love to be able to play this Tamiyo out next turn instead of Cantrip. Okay, cool. Provided that I found that land, I will play Tamiyo. I'm holding up Brainstorm as both Cantrip and Counterspell all in one. I have Force of Will. This feels pretty good. And my opponent is almost certainly on some sort of Beanstalk deck. I would like to force this Beanstalk. I doubt I'm going to need this Memories Journey. Sweet. Next turn I can flip the Tamiyo, possibly get that Force of Will back. I have to say I loved that Tamiyo doesn't make you think as hard about whether to force something. Now, I definitely think forcing there was correct, whether I had Tamiyo or not. But the fact that I'm already threatening to get that Force of Will back feels really good. And now if in response to this brainstorm, they had like a fatal push or something like that, which I doubt, I could brainstorm again. Let's flip this Tamiyo. Huh. I'll put back Narcomoeba and Swords. Plus Tamiyo, I'm going to fetch a tropical island and see if I can't get my next land drop. Alright, I like Urza Saga. That's cool. I don't love Oracle, but there's probably a way that I can get rid of that. And I'll play the Saga now. I want to put them on notice. Now there's multiple game plans that are being threatened simultaneously that would drive a control player nuts, right? Like I have Tamiyo ticking up towards an ultimate, or simply buying back good cards. I have Saga Beatdown Plan secured, and I have a combo, both graveyard based and card advantage based, that I'm threatening as well. So hopefully I can pull them in a bunch of different directions here, and I can respond to whatever it is that they do. If they play a Beanstalk, I'll make constructs. Yep. So now I think the plan is to minus Tamiyo, provided they don't ending it. Okay, Leyline Binding. Yeah, that's good. Another line I could do next turn is I could play Illusionist and crack the clue. The nice thing about that is it starts to exhaust their counter spells. Like if between Cephalid getting countered, like maybe they have to counter that, then they don't have the counter next turn for Nadu. I could also make a construct, Brainstorm, and use the Urza Saga as a shuffle, putting back Thassa's Oracle. I think I like that. I want to get the maximum value that I can out of my cards, and I don't necessarily have to spend my mana to crack the clue. I would rather them have to deal with the constructs first and then have this multiple force needed game plan. Fifth land sucks. I don't want them to have to hardcast or be able to hardcast Force of Will, though. That'd be gutsy into the Daze deck. And important to remember when factoring all these things in is that Memory's Journey is gone. I pitched it to Force of Will. They could have Orcish Bowmasters, but I'll cast Brainstorm. Cavern, amazing. Okay. Put back Oracle. Is Daze likely to matter at this point? I don't think so. I'll put back Daze. Float. They fetch. That would be wild if I needled Flooded Strand. I think people do this preemptively way too much. Get Shuko, Cavernous Souls, Wizard, cast Nadu. They have another Leyline Binding. That sucks. So they're going to get rid of the Shuko. Teferi is going to be nice in the sideboard games. But I can get a card back via this clue. Not really worried about the 1 power on the construct. I think I need to catch up to them on cards. Hopefully they do Swords the Nadu. Alright, cool. Daze. I thought I shuffled away Daze. This card really sucks, especially now that they know about it. It was so unlikely to matter at this point, but now the fact that they know that they need to play around it. Completely useless card. What is this? This is a Bloomburrow Commander card. During your turn, each non-equipment artifact and non-aura enchantment you control with mana value 4 or greater is a 4/4 elemental in addition to its other types, and has indestructible haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So these Leyline Bindings are about to beat me for 8 and draw more cards. That's pretty cool. Yep. And they draw 2. I would love to see a Nomads in Core. Tamiyo. We'll draw a card. Oracle. I swear, I cast that Brainstorm and then I fetched Shuko and the top. Well, okay. Yeah, I drew the Tamiyo in between, so it's just a huge coincidence that I got the those 2 cards. I'll get Tundra. Cast another Nadu. I have to say this looks pretty bad. I can chump one of these next turn. Another Leyline Binding. Oh my god. Sure. Nomads. Alright, well. I guess that's the faintest hope for next turn. So what I'll do is I'll cast Nomads, cast Cephalid with Cavern, mill my deck, Then if Oracle doesn't resolve, I have backup. I can dread return it back. I think this is like a 25% chance to work out. If they're about to Bowmaster this construct or remove it in any way, I just die. Leyline of the Guild. Yeah, that's fine. That's not very good. It's a 4/4 with haste. Okay, never mind. That's pretty good. Yeah. Whoa. What a card, this Bellow. Alright, well, I really like Teferi, maybe Prismatic Ending. I like Days on the play, but I don't love it. I probably have better cards. I'll just take these swords out. Swords and one, I'll just have one Prismatic Ending. Oh, I have a 61 card deck, so I'll have both of those. On the play for game 2. This hand is fine. I'll keep. I would like to find either card to pair with Nadu and Cephalid, or possibly a Tamiyo. I'm just going to be super patient, and I'm going to start with this Surveil, get it out of the way. I don't need another land. I have lands. My opponent has a Taiga. Pyroblast seems likely here. I'm going to cast Ponder rather than Brainstorm. Awesome. I'll play out the Shuko. This threatens the combo next turn. I won't get distracted by Tamiyo. Tamiyo really feels at its best in turn 1 or turn 2. So that could even be the card I pitch to Force of Will. However, if they leave mana up, I'll probably play the Tamiyo. Here's Tammy, equipped with Shuko. And if they try to remove it, I have the Brainstorm. I definitely want the top card of my library. Wow, Scrubland and Taiga. Crazy. Go to combat. I love the Shuko equipped Tamiyo actually hitting for damage. I haven't made my land drop. I don't know my top card. I'll crack this clue. If they Bowmaster, I can Brainstorm. Then maybe they Pyroblast Tamiyo, but then the Pyroblast is out of their hand. I like Days. I'm just going to pass. I don't want to get Brainstorm locked. There's the Blast. Alright, I will Brainstorm now. Get a Trop. If they Bowmaster, I have Days, so that'll feel really good. If they force the Brainstorm, that feels amazing. I won't fight over it. This looks like a, either another Red Blast, like if they get Volcanic, yeah, maybe a Blast. That's fine. So, look at this situation. This Tamiyo got 2 Red Blasts out of their hand. I think if I don't have a Tamiyo on board, there's no way this Brainstorm gets either of these Red Blasts out. So, even though this Tamiyo only drew me 1 card, let's say, now Brainstorm, which was arguably like the worst card in my hand, is getting countered. And Tamiyo, the least threatening card that I have, is getting removed. So, this Tamiyo seems very valuable. They are demonstrating their willingness to play around Days, like maybe they did have a Bowmaster there. But we're going to start putting them to the test next turn. Another Tamiyo. I want to use my mana and cast Nadu. Wow, another Blast. Is this where I force? I still don't think so. I would rather force something at this point that removes the Shuko, or honestly just keeps their engine off the table. I said I might force something that removes Shuko. What if I counter this and they have their 4th Blast? Nah, you can have my Shuko, that's fine. I think my best plan now is another Tamiyo. I'll counter anything that prevents them from getting card advantage. If we're trading 1 for 1, and I'm about to get a Tamiyo, that's going to feel good. If I had another Force, I would feel okay. Scion of Draco. So this They don't have a ley line, so it's just a 4/4. Though that blocks my Tamiyo really well. I can't just force a 4/4, that's fine. Play Tamiyo. I've maybe been a little too patient this game. Nothing that they've played has felt like a must force, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't force. Well, here's a Beanstalk. Pitch the Memories Journey. Awesome. No attacks with Scion. I don't have swords in the deck, so let's see. Force. Yeah, I'll trade the Tamiyo for a card. Nah, I won't. Because I could draw Brainstorm. And as long as these things are keeping each other at bay, and they don't have anything that they're using to gain any sort of advantage, I don't mind this situation. Saga. Okay. Saga is a route to another Shuko. Also, if I choose to make constructs, possible that Tamiyo can make constructs bigger than Scion. No land. Well, Drago always favors the Urza Saga player. Another force, that's great. That means next turn I have double force to back up my combo. No attacks. Another land. Construct. Another blue card. No blue card. But I do have... So I could like make a construct, then play Illusionist backed by 2 Force of Wills. And I can't beat Graveyard Hate right now because I don't have Memories Journey. Like if they had 3 things that were relevant interaction, they're really unlikely to have days or any sort of like mana taxing spell. They again. Why even crack this? Like if I'm needling Flooded Strand when you are incredibly flooded already, you just know I'm an insane person. Sometimes I think it's good to invite those sorts of things. All right, I'm gonna equip here, and I'm gonna go to combat with that construct. So a little bit of bait right here. Where on... That's pretty good because that's going to reduce the construct. So I'll force pitch days. Maybe they force back. No force. Leyline binding. Force pitch Cephalid. Leyline binding. Oh my god. Wow. Well, we got their hand empty, but that feels pretty bad. Ugh, so annoying. All right, they have a play. Beanstalk. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I need to surveil with Hedge Maze. Okay, and they play land. Maybe they can get a Mystic Sanctuary. Otherwise, I don't really know why they play that out. Show me nomads. Thing good. That's not good. Dread Return. I'm going to keep passing the turn here, but this is starting to feel worse and worse. Okay, they just fetched there with no Mystic Sanctuary to get back like a red blast. Yeah, they have a Leyline of the Guild Pack. So now this thing has First Strike, Hexproof, Lifelink, Vigilance, Trample. So they can swing with it. That's pretty good. Well, if they have a clock now, I feel like I have to start. I have to trade this Tamiyo for a card now. Nadu. Nadu's pretty good. So I will crack Clue. Ponder. Okay. I will cast Ponder. I guess those cards are good enough. I'll play the Saga. And I'm going to play Cephalid out. Obviously, if they target the Cephalid with something, they mill over some cards, but I don't know, it's fine. Another Beanstalk. Yeah. Yeah, them drawing that was super good. If I had played the Teferi this turn, I could have gone Teferi, bounce a Leyline, try to win. Of course, I don't have... All right, they're surgically in my Nadu. I'm just going to scoop. They got me. All right, I'm on the play finally in round 4. Yeah, this hand's fine. I'll keep. Unfortunately, I feel like I haven't been playing very well today, and that's the thing with Magic is sometimes you feel like the game doesn't have much of a variance with respect to your skill and your gameplay, but like you really have to be in the right mindset. And I don't know. It just hasn't been. I haven't played well this league, and I played a little bit of a league earlier, and I didn't do too well on it either. I also feel like I'm the type of player who relies a lot on really knowing my list very well, and even the slight changes, like last match, like playing the illusionist out when like I could have thought of that Teferi line, but I haven't played with Teferi in months, so I haven't really been thinking about like what I can do with it. I definitely rely a lot on that for my confidence as a player. So I feel like I'm piloting a bit suboptimally this list. Hopefully I can get something together to salvage this league. Again, I have an opponent mulling very deeply here, so Daze looks nice. All right, Island Ponder. Would love to see a force. That's good. I'll just do it like this. I have 2 layers of protection. If it's oops, all spells. Monolith, sure. Tezzeret. Well, I wouldn't want to force Tezzeret, but I'd be happy to daze it. I'm glad that this match is going to come up because I would love to see Xeno's sideboard plan in action against this deck. And I'm going to fetch a Tundra past this Ponder. Brainstorm, Cavern, Memories Journey. Not exciting, but that's okay. I'm going to go Cavern on bottom, then Brainstorm, draw Journey. That'll be the card I pitch to Force of Will. If I have to cast a Force of Will this turn. Saga. Yeah, it's nice. Okay, I know the top card of my library is Cavern of Souls. And that's a fine card to have on top. I'll ponder. I can't draw those other cards, so I'm gonna shuffle. Saga. Yeah, I'll play out Nomads. This gets punished by a Kozilek's command. But I like the idea of brainstorming into Illusionist next turn. And now if they want to make constructs, they're liable to wait till my turn, which means I don't have to like if they command right now, I'm not going to force. Because I don't know for sure that this Nomads is going to get me anywhere soon. But if they wait, if they try to get the maximum value off of their command, force, it's Journey. So that costs 4 mana, it gets forced. Nadu. Tragic that I don't have green. Back swords. Put back swords and put back Saga. The fetch land. Play Nomads. This means if they can Ogun next turn, they can only kill one of my Nomads, or if they have command. If they have a main deck Needle, it's a blowout. I guess I do have to fetch in the face of that possibility. So I'll fetch a Hedge Maze. Daze is fine because it's a blue card to pitch to Force of Will. Hopefully, now I really can't force this turn. Lantern. Okay, that was the wrong thing to get if they could get Needle. They probably don't have main deck Needle. I did play against someone in paper the other day who did have a main deck Needle, and that's a pretty nice card to be able to get off a Tezzeret, but this deck is just so combo focused. Like, why weaken yourself in that way? The One Ring. Yeah, I see your One Ring. I see that card advantage, but I'm going to raise you 2 Nomads and a Nadu. I just love this. I love being able to let this resolve because my card advantage engine is just dwarfs what the One Ring can do. Here we go. Excellent. Tamiyo. Now here's another strength of Tamiyo, y'all. So Tamiyo is going to let the party keep rolling for only 1 mana, so if I don't draw too many lands, Tamiyo can enter. Obviously not Savannah, but there we go. So the party will continue. Another Tamiyo. Dread Ritual. Brainstorm. So that means I could Tamiyo, then Brainstorm, then cast the other Tamiyo. I'm going to get Basic Island. Whenever I'm glimpsing off, basically, with Nadu and Nomads, I try to get the basics, like if I'm casting a Nomads or casting a Tamiyo or something, because I want to leave the lands in the deck that can cast the most spells. And I think that's really the one pitfall that could lose you the game is like not having a land left in your deck that can cast a spell you need. Okay. Well, the party's over, and they have 1 ring protection, so I can't attack, but how are they going to beat this? Key. I don't really want them to untap the ring. I'll force that. Pitch Cephalid. Maybe they crack the lantern now that they've seen me pitch the Cephalid. I suppose I could have... I should have just drawn on my cards first. But, I don't know. Playing a little loose still. Command target Tamiyo. That seems like a pretty weak play, given that they know that I just have to hit a land like that, and now this won't hit Tamiyo. If anyone knows who's watching this, if you could comment, if I Brainstorm and flip Tamiyo, do they still get to do the other part of this? I don't know. I'm not wise enough on the rules. Well, this matchup should be pretty favorable post-board with all of these excellent card choices from Xeno for this matchup. So those are all cards I'm willing to bring in. Typically, my board, I'll show you what I would typically board. So without having Null Rod and without having 1 consign, whoops. So this would be my typical board. And I would board out swords, planes. I used to board out 1 Shuko, but I think Tamiyo is just weak enough in this matchup. So in this situation, it would be these cards getting boarded out, swapping like this. But today, since we're pretty loaded up here on extra stuff, I get to remove all the Tamiyos and still maybe cut a Shuko. So pretty nice sideboard mapping against this deck. The reason you cut a Shuko is just because of Karn. On the draw, this hand looks totally fine. I hate having to pitch Thassa's Oracle to a Force of Will. As the hand currently stands, that's what I'll do. If their first turn is like a Manifold Key or something, they can ending that if that feels good. Let's see. They do have a key. I think given that they mold, I like ending the key. Fetch Tundra. This means if they were really relying on this for mana, they'll get bricked. It means they won't be able to use and abuse it next turn. But the way that they punish this most significantly is if they have Pithing Needle on Nomads in core. So I'll have to be sure to not play out a Nomads prior to Monolith is fine. So they just had another key. Sure. Well, Force of Will could be good here. Another Monolith. Say go. Okay. The last card could be a command. It could be another land. Ooh, best card in the matchup in hand. Cast Brainstorm. Yes. My goodness. Okay. So it looks like the plan is fetch Savannah, play Nomads. Next turn I have Nadu. It taps me out of Consign, but I have Force of Will. So I have to keep Saga in hand. So I think Oracle has to go. And I think I'm liable to force a removal spell on Nomads. So I think I can put the other Nomads back. It'll be many turns before I can get that back out. And if they do have like a needle or something, I'm not as punished by that. So I'll fetch Savannah. Play this out, threaten the combo. Passing into their turn, holding a Force of Will seems good. And another thing I did there that was pretty loose is I F6'd when they were holding up removal there. So just all over the place today with my plays. And for what it's worth, I do find that when I make bad plays, it spirals downward. Teaching a lot of musicians over the years, I can tell that that's a very common thing that happens, is you make mistakes and then you get flustered by that and make even more. Yeah, I win, right? Hopefully I draw another blue source and I can consign chapter 2. But I'm not afraid of constructs. They might even just scoop. Needle. Not a horrendous pickup. If I can needle Urza Saga, that would be good. Keep them off the one plan that has any sort of game, I think, at this point. Though if I only draw one land in the next 4 cards, it's probably just going to be Hold Up Consign. One land. Fortification. Do I Needle Saga, Hold Up Consign, or play on Nomads? I think I Needle Saga and Hold Up Consign. I will almost certainly succeed in okay, they just scoop. Awesome. GG. So see, here was a matchup where I brought in a sideboard card, I ending something that totally didn't matter, so I didn't even need that. I had Consign in hand, but was willing to tap out of it to execute my own game plan. And the whole time I had this force of will for whatever their first big play was going to be. So I feel like this demonstrates how good this matchup is. My opponent obviously mulled in both games. They mulled to 5, mulled to 6. So it's not like they had their very best plan available to them there. But I don't think it's super necessary to have all those cards dedicated to this matchup. I think if you just point your force of wills at the right spells, you're going to win. All right. I can hopefully get a 3-2 to do justice to this nice list here. I'm on the play for the last round. Yeah, this hand is fine. I can't start with Saga because I have the Narcomoeba in hand. I hate starting with Saga anyway. So it looks like a good opportunity to maybe play Flooded Strand and plan on getting a Surveil land, depending on what my opponent does. It's not a super exciting hand, but if you have a route to both combo pieces, you kind of have to keep that, right? My opponent is fetching their Flooded Strand, and if I get Thoughtseize, it sucks, but yeah, that's fine. Obviously, they take Illusionist. Well, depending on what kind of deck this is, I don't hate my position. If it's like Doomsday or something like that, I feel terrible. Dread Return into the graveyard. Nomads, cool. I'm going to play Hedge Maze. Brainstorm, great. I'll just play Nomads out. If they daze me, I'm not dying to Entomb Reanimate next turn. Okay, another Beanstalk deck. Cool. Well, they are liable to have Bowmasters, so certainly brainstorming now seems like a good plan. Not very good there. Let's put back these terrible cards. Swing. I'll play out the other Nomads as well. Play around removal a little bit. There was maybe an argument to fetching, to play around Stifle. Thoughtseize, they have one option. All right, 4-color deck. And another Beanstalk. Yeah. Well, Saga looks good. Maybe I can win without casting any other spells. I'll get Savannah, so I can't get Wastelanded off of any particular color. Ponder's nice. I'll cast it. Oh, I don't think I want these cards. This Brainstorm to be optimal. I really want to get Saga going. So this Brainstorm to be optimal is going to be super slow. I don't want the other cards. Shuko. I'll play out Shuko. Push damage. Well, we'll win the game if no more spells are cast this turn, and that's sort of how you want to play against Beanstalk, is to not let them force a will draw a card or force a will draw 2 cards. I think they have perfect information about my hand, so I can F6 to Fairy. Probably bounces Saga. Bounce Nomads. Alright, well, they're going to trade. Do they have removal? Tamiyo's nice. Alright, well, let's see if you have removal. I don't think you make that play unless you had it, right? Fine. Maybe this means my Tamiyo gets to stick around. Play Tamiyo. Equip. I'll just play Nomads out. This maximizes the chances of me killing Teferi next turn. Brainstorm, sure. My opponent appears to be passing the turn. I make a construct. Land. Very bad draw. I'll make another construct. Hopefully they don't have dress. Should still have a Shuko in the deck. Now what do I equip it to? If I equip to Tamiyo, that means that they would have to remove Tamiyo, which they're liable to do anyway, like at the beginning of combat. They already have to have 2 removal spells to get rid of it. I'm picturing some sort of leyline binding crazy situation here. Alternatively, I could try to win depending on how things go. Like I could Dread Return Cephalid Illusionist, Memories Journey Thassa's Oracle to the top, win next turn. It's pretty bad in the face of Force of Will, which I assume they have. I haven't really played anything that's been a must force. At any rate, I'd like to get Teferi off the board. Let's equip to Tamiyo and swing everything at Teferi. Here's where they go. Double binding. The clue is made, which is nice. Maybe they don't have removal, because I think if you have removal, you at least kill that Tamiyo. Well, now I think Force of Will seems incredibly likely. And in the face of that, I like just saying go. There's no reason to play this land out, as it would serve no purpose. And I don't want to give them the information. Dresstone. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. I'll crack the clue now. It plays into a Thoughtseize, but it plays around Bowmaster. I like that. Can I get a Cavern? Here's where they Thoughtseize me. It's just how it goes. Looks like they kept a card on top. What would you keep? Like a Murktide or a Leyline Binding? Naughty. I'll go to combat. I probably should have equipped 2 Nomads, but actually with Nadu's in hand, the Nomads is kind of more valuable. I hope whatever they're doing here doesn't draw them cards, but it looks like it's maybe Murderous Cut into a card they chose to top. Okay, Rakshasa's bargain. Maybe into a Leyline Binding. Another Dress Down. That's fine. Well, I get a bit more damage in. Do I Nadu here? If they force, they draw a bunch of cards. And they probably have force. But then if they didn't have another force next turn, I could go again. I could play out the land, and if I draw land, I could Nadu twice. This is a tough spot. I'm going to cast the Nadu. This at least gets their life total a little lower. Yep. Yeah. Misty Rainforest, go. Alright, they're cracking the Misty Rainforest. And getting Leyline Binding, sure. Probably getting Tamiyo. Yep. And they have to go to cleanup. Illusionist, okay. So, I'll attack. Illusionist was a really good draw. Though, the thought of them having double Force of Will. Pretty likely. Endurance, oof. That's pretty good. Targeting themselves, yep. Pitched a Brainstorm to Force of Will earlier, so there's 4 Force of Wills in those 42 cards and 6 cards in hand. Play Nadu. They go to 3. Draw 2. Pretty busted. Fetch. Island. You have another Force of Binding. Draw 2. That's fine. If they have another Binding, I can't win. If they draw a Force, I can't win. Seems like they're just doing that to cycle. but time will tell. All right, Illusionist is in. I can beat one Force of Will because I do have Memory's Journey. Okay, I've milled my deck. I'm going to see if this works against the 7-card hand. Let's see. Endurance. Oof. Yeah. Pretty good. I suppose there's still a little bit of game to play with them on 3 life, but that's rough. I can have 6. My opponent has a Murktide. Did they card cast that Murktide? Well, that makes me think they have another Murktide. I guess they don't have that many cards in their library. Here's Tammy. Whip. And again, I can have 6. Tamiyo got removed. Swords to Plowshares. Ponder. The Wasteland is totally fine. It'll keep me off making constructs, but that's fine. Force of Will. Sure. If they Wasteland me, I can't cast it, but I don't think they will. Take another 6. My opponent is casting something. I will force it and cast it before they resolve their Beanstalk triggers. They have 6. It's nice how they just get to draw 2 anyway. Almost not really important that it does resolve. Narcomoeba. Yeah, I'm going to play it. That gets me another draw if they don't remove it or force it. Quit. Alright, I'm going to lose. I'm going to make them play it out, though, because there's a chance timing could be important. And it doesn't really cost me very much time to make them play it out. Alright, well, that was a rough one. They had 8 cards in their hand at the end, and I had 0. They had 2 Beanstalks and got to cast a whole bunch of stuff. So that was really brutal. I like this Teferi. Let's bring that guy in. Ghost Vacuum could be cool, but they have a lot of exile-based removal, and I don't think I want to keep them off the graveyard. I like the endings as additional Beanstalk removal. On the play, I certainly like Days. I don't think I need these swords, though hitting a Murktide would obviously be very good. And I'll chill on 1 Illusionist. Oh wait, I have 61. So I need that. Alright, that's fine. On the play for game 2. Yeah, this hand seems good. I'll keep. They didn't show me that they had any sort of Wasteland or mana denial, so I'll start with the Tundra and play Tamiyo. This means both of these can get Surveil lands if needed. I do hope this Tamiyo sticks around, though. Well, passing to my turn makes me think it will stick around. Force of Will, great. Got my first clue. That's awesome. I'll just play the Savannah and say go. I don't think they're a Daze deck, so I don't think it would hurt too much to go like Force of Will after cracking a clue. But since I have 2 Illusionists, I am liable to just pitch 1. And the thing I'd be forcing would be a Beanstalk. Wasteland, that's fine. If I Wasteland my Tundra. Yep, I'll draw a card. Daze, nice. Well, now that I've seen 1 Wasteland, I do feel inclined to get basics. Lay this out, and I'll fetch on their upkeep. Brainstorm. That's fine. I think that does mean they want to play a Beanstalk next turn, and if they do that into a Daze, I would love that. The presence of Wasteland maybe slightly increases the chances of them having Daze, but post-sideboard on the draw, I don't think that's very likely. I think I'll not respect Daze. I'll fetch now. I don't think they have Stifle, but since I'm getting the basic and definitely fetching within the next turn cycle, I think that's a pretty free play. Another Wasteland. Draw a card. Another land. Sweet. Swords. All Daze. It's going to keep me off of cracking a clue in the next turn, but worth it to keep Tamiyo around, especially since I have another Daze. Ending, also nice. There we go. Almost misclicked on that. It was a bit of lag. Replay Island, Sega. Interesting call. Like, if they have a Beanstalk, what do I do here? I think I just daze, right? Because if I ending it, I'm not correcting a clue anyway. They don't get to draw the card. Let's fight over the Beanstalk on the stack. Now these clues are starting to add up, though. I'm liking these lands. I don't think I want to draw any more. Carpet of Flowers, that's fine. A little bit of a non-bow having Carpet of Flowers and Wasteland. Leyline Binding. Do I force this? If I force, I have to pitch an Illusionist. Next couple turns, I'm probably just cracking clues. I think I've used and abused this Tamiyo enough. That's fine. Archamoeba. If I had that in my hand last turn, I certainly would have force pitched an Archamoeba, I think. Get a Plains, draw the card now. I know they do play Thoughtseize, but oof, and I have 8 cards. That was kind of a pun, wasn't it? We'll just ditch the archive. They've made blue with their carpet. Laid out a land. This looks like a Murktide. I'll force a Murktide. Pitch an Archamoeba. Ponder, sure. Do you maybe ponder first before the Murktide? Maybe they're afraid of daze, but I've already dazed twice. My opponent kept the cards off their ponder. I have a ponder. Yeah, I think I'll correct this clue. Give them another carpet mana. They already have enough mana. I could also ending this, but that feels weak. I'll get a Trop. I'll save the Trop. I don't want to lose another green source. Yeah, I like Nadu. I don't really like the other cards. I'd really rather find like a secondary, like the B side of the combo if I already have 2 A's. But Nadu seems too good to pass up. So we'll play around a Thoughtseize and draw a land. And next turn, if I want to shuffle away the Dread Return, I actually can't cast Nadu. So I'll probably lead on one Cephalid Illusionist and see what they say about that. If they remove the Illusionist, then that gets the Dread Return in the bin right away. This looks like a Beanstalk or Bargain. Okay. Well, with no Beanstalk in play, that's not as bad. Still pretty good. And they put a Beanstalk in the graveyard. I feel like you only do that if you're keeping at least one. A Ghost Vacuum? Okay. I can beat a Ghost Vacuum. I think they should have gotten the Beanstalk instead. I don't know. Ghost Vacuum could be what I point my Prismatic ending at. But I'll play Illusionist now. Hopefully they still choose to respect Illusionist in the face of Ghost Vacuum. Awesome. I'll mill the Dread Return on top of my library. Milling Cavern sucks, and in this list that's the only Cavern. But they're getting low on cards. Yeah, okay, you get my Dread Return. That was pretty good. Make blue. Probably a Murktide. Yep. 7/7. 1 card left in hand. I can fog the Murktide with Cephalid and Nadu. Draw a card each turn. What I really want to see though is Shuko or Nomads. Ponder's good. Get that. Ponder. Still no Nomads or Shuko. These are good enough though. I'm gonna go Nadu first, then Tamiyo. Well, sorry, I'm referring to how I'm gonna sequence this turn. Play Nadu. Play Tamiyo. And something I can also do, I love making this play, if it seems right, is I can Prismatic ending my Nadu, like cast for 1 mana, so I can just get this cycle. They might even feel inclined to keep the Murktide back here. If they don't have removal. And if they do have removal, I'm drawing a card off of it. Well, they've made 4 green mana with this carpet. Whatever this last card is, it must be good. Bargain, sure. Oh, they bend an Uro. That's going to be pretty good for them pretty soon. Casting that brainstorm though, no, they can still cast it because they fetch and then they have 2 blue. So they're gonna have an Uru. That's good. I can ending the Uru. So next turn is looking like ending the Uru, cast Illusionist, fetch after I draw Nadu. So they'll have 3 cards in hand. Pretty impressive. I think they started this turn with no cards in hand. So, oh, but they didn't fetch a blue. Maybe they're out of blue. Dress down. So the last card must be some sort of removal. That's fine. And the reason why they do this is now I don't get the flip off the Nadu when they kill it. Yeah, it's pretty good. And the Uro is going to grow their Murktide possibly by 2. So that's going to put me in a chumping situation. So I actually don't think I can swing with Tamiyo. Because they're going to exile 5 pre-combat, turn this into a 9/9. I'm at 9 life. So Tamiyo's got to bite the dust. Nadu, Cephalid. Play my land out. That'll allow me to fetch away the Misty on top of my deck. And with 6 mana, I do have enough mana next turn to ending Uro and do the Illusionist thing. So, depending on what cards are in their hand, this could be okay. If they have like a force and can stop me from casting my ending, I'm going to be in pretty rough shape. If they have any sort of removal this turn, that's also really good for them. Yep. So I must chump the 9/9. They're going to have 3 cards in hand. 1 card in hand now. R.I.P. Tamiyo. I will definitely go into game 3 with swords if we get a game 3. Fetch now. Get island. Another Tamiyo. White. Green. Blue. I'm going to do all my dual lands here so that I can't get wastelanded off of the Cephalid Illusionist plan. Ending. That worked. Next turn I can play Tamiyo. Now they can get a Tamiyo. Pretty soon it might profit them to ultimate the Ghost Vacuum. Now that they have a Tamiyo underneath here, they could get that Murktide too. If they can kill my Nadu here, then so be it. If we go to combat, it's going to feel good. Looks like we're going to combat. Here we go. Activate Illusionist, target Nadu. Reveal Memory's Journey. It's not a terrible pickup. That probably would enable some sort of Thassa's Oracle line to actually still win around this Ghost Vacuum. But I would have rather drawn many other cards, to be totally honest. Nomads. So I'm going to play Tamiyo. Maybe that eats their Force of Will if that's their card in hand. Alright, gotta go for the Nomads here. Let's go. Another Nomads. Another Tamiyo. Force of Will. I think my opponent needs to scoop for the sake of time. I actually don't think I'm going to target the Illusionist with activations here. I don't really want to mill any cards. Another Force of Will. I'll play out this Nomads. Get a couple more cards off of it. Cool. I'll brainstorm. I'll flip the Tamiyo to Fairy. That's really nice. So I'll put back Memory's Journey. I'll put back Saga. And I'll say go. Now, one consequence of flipping the Tamiyo like that is I only have 1 blocker for the Murktide, but they don't even swing. So, given that we have another game to play here, I do really feel like they should be scooping right now. But I'll take it. Maybe they want me to catch up with them on time. I know I haven't shuffled those cards away, but that's totally fine. I think I can pretty much just draw the rest of my deck here. Yeah, let me just double check I haven't exiled a Thassa's Oracle or anything. It's not underneath the Ghost Vacuum, right? Yeah, so looking good. Amoeba. I think I just go for it here. They probably have Sigs. And I like my chances heading into a game 3 on time. I can play pretty fast. I suppose I lose to a consign. I don't know. We've come this far. Okay. Do you have infinite replicated consign? Seems like they might. Endurance? I'll force endurance. Yeah. Target Narcomoeba. I don't even need to force it really. Because I can just do it again, right? So let's see what they have as their last card. This was really just a time consideration. Probably a force, sure. That's fine. Do I let it resolve? I mean, I definitely win here, right? Yeah, let's just do it. There we go. But even if I let that resolve, I just click through my nomads and cephalid again and win. So I really did that just to save my clock. I definitely want to stay up on time. It's pretty close as it is. So like on cantrips, I'm going to have to think fast. And I might have to talk a little less in this last game. But I think we're favored here. I don't think they can win in under 5 minutes, to be totally honest. So I think if I don't time out, should be good. Now for game 3, I do feel like taking a little bit of a different approach. I said I wanted the swords for the Murktides and the Furrows. And I want to get rid of the dazes. And I think I'll take out a couple forces as well. Some people might not be a fan of this strategy, but my approach here is I will let them lose to the clock. And especially getting anything out like swords that would basically prevent them from killing me quickly with a Murktide or something like that, put the onus on them to find some way to win in a position where they're already going to be scrambling. I think I'm actually going to trim one Illusionist for one Force of Will as well, because I'm less likely to go for my quick combo into a Force and find a way to lose with this little time left on the clock. So this will be my deck. This hand seems great. I'm going to keep. I'll have 6 through their first turn. If they play a Carpet, sure. I'll play Misty Rainforest, say go. I don't need to ponder here. I will very much play to the clock. And Carpet of Flowers powering out something very quickly would be to their advantage. They might even have another land, so let's see what happens here. Oh, they certainly have Golgari mana. Ghost Vacuum, sure. All of 6. Basic Island. We'll play Windswept Teeth, say go. Carpet of Flowers is also a really bad card to have in your deck as you're facing a timeout. Yeah, I'll force this. Pitching the Ponder. Cool. And they didn't have a third land, so they are using that Carpet for blue mana for sure. I'll play Saga. If possible, I will fetch, like if I don't need to cast the Spring Storm anytime soon, I'll fetch Savannah and I'll fetch Plains. And try to get through this whole saga without giving them any mana. They say go. I'll continue to pass. Cavernous Souls, nice. I'll play Misty Rainforest. Yep. All right, I'll let them have this Beanstalk. And I'm just going to do this now. Go Plains. Go Savannah. We are staying close on clock here, so I need to be careful about that. This is definitely not optimal. I hate doing this in the main phase, and I kind of laugh when people do that. Illusionist. So see here, maybe that would work. Maybe that would be game over, but as of right now, this just seems appropriate. Name Wizard. They did pass me on clocks, so definitely need to be mindful of that. Hopefully no lag will get in the way of this game. Okay, they have some mana now. Attack. They're fetching. I'm just gonna have 6. Sword something, sure. Yep. Sure. F6. I'll equip. Attack. Oof. Have an endurance. I'll stop F6ing and I'll swords this. They're forcing. Drawing a card. Pretty good. Alright, you know what? Show me that you can beat this. I'll ponder before I do this. I don't need those. Oh! Brainstorm the Treader turn. Yeah. Well, it was kind of a disaster there, but I like the idea of going for it here. After they forced, just try to win the game fair and square. And unless, well, they have the Ghost Vacuum. No, I can't go for it. What am I saying? They get the Nadu. That's fine. Well, at least I have this swords, and I didn't go too deep before I remembered the Ghost Vacuum. Kind of rough. I'm back to being up on clock, so. Wrath of the Skies. That's pretty good. Kind of removes everything. But I think if I just swords this and they don't have like a Murktide follow-up, probably good enough, right? Swords. Hedge Maze. Saga. Yeah, I'll take a Saga. F6. Saga. F6. Brainstorm on end step. If they can get a Murktide like this turn, how big would that Murktide be? It would be a 5/5. I bet they could win in that amount of time. Good for them if they get it. Oof, tapping mana wrong as you're approaching the end of your clock is not ideal. But maybe this is a Murktide here. Teferi. I don't care about Teferi with a minute 20 left on the clock. And a Beanstalk, don't care about Beanstalk. Ending your Beanstalk. Play Urza Saga, F6. It might be better to play on Nadu, but or play on Nomads, then hold it in hand. But it's okay. Is this your Murktide? Okay. Oracle. I'll play out Nomads, and I will play out Oracle, actually. I'm getting a little desperate now that a Murktide has materialized. Like, if this can find a swords or something like that, that'd be great. Dress down. Sure. So glad this is getting out of hand now versus, like, against my constructs. That felt really low value. Can't F6 here. Wonder if they have another dress down. Tamiyo, sure. That'll block a Murktide for a turn. Shuko. Equip the Shuko to Nomads. And I'm going to send this guy at Teferi, these at my opponent. Binding, sure. Probably getting rid of my construct. Sure. I will play out. Okay. At this point, I don't think they have the time. Swords Tamiyo, sure. That's pretty good. Grow Murktide, sure. Yeah, you probably would have won this game if you weren't going to time out. That doesn't feel great, but you know, that's Magic Online for you. And the clock definitely matters, and they could have played much better towards the clock. So, well, I'll just play this out so that they can think that maybe I would have gotten it. But I don't have the time to go for it, and they don't have the time to beat me. So, hopefully, going for this. Hopefully, that top deck reveals. Yeah, they're on no time, right? So, yeah. Cool. Well, I do think that top deck Illusionist makes me think that in that last game, if it wasn't for the chess clock, maybe I would have won. Because here, what I can do is cast Dread Return, targeting pretty much anything. Probably another illusionist would be best. Sacrifice these 3 creatures. And then combo off with illusionist, Memories, Journey back, Thassa's Oracle. And then I have Narcomoebas in play that can chump. So that would have been a bit of a crazy line. It would have taken me too much time to execute it myself. But sometimes when it comes down to timing issues, you're looking for moral victories as well. And that at least makes me know that I had a line to continue this game. Even if that wasn't the case, I could have just gotten Narcomoebas back and chumped these for a turn. And maybe swung, with these 2, like maybe figure something else out. I don't want to think too hard about it right now. But this was a 3-2 league. I'll look back at the deck, Xeno's deck from the challenge. And, it felt pretty good. There was never a time that Teferi hit the board. I would have loved to showcase what Teferi can do. There are lots of cool things you can do with it in this deck. Obviously, just protecting your combo is the number one thing. But No Rod, we had it in play, or we had it in the deck versus Mystic Forge, Karn Forge, and we didn't see it. It didn't come up, but that matchup was handled pretty well just by having forces and executing my own game plan. It's a pretty cool list. I would love to see some sort of cut. I'm usually not a fan of 61 cards. I feel like maybe a land could go. I like testing the second island with 4 Tamiyo, but maybe the mana base could just be the traditional mana base. I do think having 21 in your 75 card list is good, and I did miss having another Cavern of Souls. Against like all those blue decks, Cavern is really such an MVP. Maybe I prefer this mana base though. Like if I had to pick 21 lands, maybe these 21 are better than 2 Caverns but no Savannah. You really do want to have your colors, and not having Savannah is a little sad. But, the list feels pretty good. I feel like as a breakfast community, we're inching closer to hopefully what can be a really good deck that can beat the top decks, beat the Dimir decks. And that's really been my goal of the last couple months for sure. Congrats again to Xeno on the strong challenge finish. And hopefully you'll keep innovating and keep perfecting your list and putting up good results. Thanks everybody for watching. See you in the next one.